Graphical programs are fun and all, but they aren't very useful if the user can't interact with them. Today, we'll learn how to make our OpenGL programs get mouse and keyboard input from the user. Hello everyone, my name is Mike and you're watching Polymath Unlimited. In this series we are building our own chess engine from scratch in C++. Last episode we learned about OpenGL and we got OpenGL up and running so we could draw graphics on the screen. In this episode we will expand our knowledge of OpenGL to include getting mouse and keyboard input from the user. By the end of this video, we will be able to draw a chessboard on the screen, and we will be able to let the user select squares on the chessboard by clicking on them. Looking at where we left off last time, recall that we interact with GLUT and, by extension, OpenGL by using callback functions. These are functions we write into our programs, and then we give GLUT access to those functions. For example, all of our drawing code is here in the draw function, which we give to GLUT using GLUT displayFunc. Getting mouse and keyboard input from the user works the same way. We can create callbacks to functions that handle mouse and keyboard input using GLUT mousefunc and GLUT keyboardfunc, respectively. We'll make two new functions in our program called mouse and keydown, and we'll pass these functions as arguments to GLUT mousefunc and GLUT keyboardfunc. GLUT expects the functions to take specific forms. Specifically, the function we give to GLUT mousefunc should return void, and it should take 4 integers as arguments. Similarly, the function we pass to GLUT keyboardfunc should return void, and it should accept an unsigned character and 2 integers as input. These arguments will allow GLUT to give our code access to information from mouse and keyboard input events. We'll demonstrate this with a simple example first. Let's make it so that the program closes when the user presses the escape key. Our keydown function will get called anytime the user presses down on a key that generates an ASCII character code. So in our keydown function, we'll check to see if the key code is 27, which is the ASCII code for the escape character. If it is, we'll call GLUT leave main loop, which exits GLUT's event loop. If we run the program and press escape, the program does exit as expected. Reacting to mouse input is very similar. Our mouse function will get called anytime the user either presses or releases a mouse button. As an example, let's check to see if the user pressed the left mouse button by checking if state is GLUT down and button is GLUT left button. If so, we will write X and Y to the console. If we run the program now, we should see the coordinates of the mouse cursor show up in the console whenever we click on the window. With mouse and keyboard input working, let's turn our attention to drawing a chessboard. We'll get rid of all the drawing code we wrote last time and replace it with new code that will draw our chessboard. We'll start by making some global variables to keep track of some parameters we'll need for drawing. Then in our draw function, we'll begin by drawing our board's background. We'll make the background kind of a reddish-brown color. Also note that we are drawing using GL quads instead of GL triangles. Each vertex 2f call is now the vertex of a quadrilateral instead of a triangle. Running the program now should result in a large square getting drawn to the screen. Now to draw the board squares, we will use some nested for loops to loop through x and y values in an 8x8 grid. To make adjacent squares different colors, we'll check to see if x plus y is divisible by 2. If it is, then we will draw using one color, otherwise we will draw using a different color. We can then give the vertices of the quad, which will depend on the x and y coordinates of the square we are drawing. If we run the program, we should see that we have a pretty decent representation of a chessboard. If we play around with our window, though, we might notice something strange. If we stretch our window by clicking and dragging on the edges, then our chessboard will get stretched and distorted. This is because OpenGL is drawing the same image as before, but it simply stretches it to fit the new window size. To fix this, we need to be able to update our drawing parameters whenever the window changes size. We will need another callback function to do this. We'll make a new function called resize, and then make a callback to this function using GLUT reshape func. This will make it so that our resize function will get called anytime our window changes size. In this function, we will set the global width and height variables to the new width and height. We will also recalculate our drawing parameters, making it so that our board is drawn as large as possible without any of it getting clipped off the edge of the screen. Finally, we will reset the projection matrix by first resetting OpenGL's viewport to the new width and height, then resetting the projection matrix by calling GLLoadIdentity. Now we can make a new 2D projection by calling GLUOrtho2D and passing in our new width and height. Now when we run the program, our drawing parameters should automatically update themselves when we resize the window, which eliminates the stretching problem. Now that our drawing code works for any window size, let's do something a little more interesting with our mouse input. Eventually, we would like to be able to select chess pieces and move them with the mouse. We'll lay the foundation of that behavior now by allowing the user to select squares by clicking on them. We'll make some new global variables called selectX and selectY to keep track of which square is selected. Note that these will be board coordinates and not screen coordinates. Now in our mouse function, instead of writing the coordinates of the click to the screen, we will instead update the selectX and selectY variables based on the X and Y coordinates of the click. Then in our draw function, after we draw the board, we'll highlight the selected square by drawing a green square over it. Note that we should check to see if the selected square is actually on the board, since it would be a bit silly if we could select non-existent squares. Now if we run the program, we should be able to select squares by clicking on them. We now have most of the core features of our graphics engine up and running. We'll continue to add more features as we need them. Next time, we'll start programming the actual chess engine aspects of our program by building the data structures we will need to keep track of a game of chess. Have any features you want to see implemented in this engine? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you for watching, thanks to all my subscribers, and I will see you next time.